Good morning, my name is Sean Michael Walker from Premier Group Insurance, and this week I want to make a video titled, Why Wins. Wins all day long, every day, and has for decades, and I want to tell you exactly how they do that. First of all, they have data. Data is king. We've all known data is king. Data is the new gold. If you don't have data, you don't have nuggets of gold in your hand. And you should have nuggets of gold in your hand. You should have data readily available at your fingertips all the time. The right algorithm also gives you an incredible pass-through rate. So when you think about the seas of underwriters that used to exist, that used to touch every single policy, figured out a way to say, you know what, our algorithm can do that for us. And so those seas, think about the fourth floor of a humongous office building that had just seas of underwriters sitting there touching every single policy, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of transactions no longer needing to be touched because the data made the algorithm so powerful that made the loss ratio incredible, now has a pass-through rate that no longer requires thousands of people to be employed touching those policies. It also gives advantage from an expense ratio perspective, okay? So famous for having an expense ratio down in the low 20s. In the low 20s, that's absolutely unheard of when almost every other carrier has an expense ratio up in the lower 30s or mid 30s, and sometimes even, the high 30s from an expense ratio perspective. Winning all day long, every day, because they have the data. So you get a lower loss ratio, you get a lower expense ratio, you add those two together and you get your combined operating ratio. In year after year after year after year after year, hitting their target, which is always somewhere around a 95 combined operating ratio. When the rest of the industry is struggling to get an expense ratio anywhere close to what it has, they're struggling to get the amount of data that it has. By the way, why does it have more data? Because they've been plugging in that dongle for 20 years longer than any of the competition has been plugging in that dongle. And we all know that the information, the data that's coming out of that dongle is making the number one rating variable in insurance, credit, is now taking a humongous back seat to the now number one rating variable, which is the information that that little dongle is collecting, the driving behaviors of each individual driver. So it has data, has the stronger algorithm, has the ability to control their loss ratio, the ability to control their expense ratio, has the ability to report a combined operating ratio year in and year out, right around that 95 mark, and investors love that. Everybody loves that. When the rest of the competition is saying, how do we get more data? How do we use our data more actionably? And how do we win as frequently as they win? How do we get our loss ratio down so that we can compete better with that amazing juggernaut? Why does it win? I'll tell you why it wins. Because they have amazing data. My name's Sean Michael Walker. Have a wonderful day. Bye. Oh, just one more thing. P.S. Just so everybody knows, actually hiring, I think, 10,000 employees over the course of the next 3 years. So when I talk about empty floors full of empty cubicles because the underwriter position got automated out, not so necessarily, right? An incredible juggernaut, writing a ton of written premium and investing a ton into the development of and the growth of their employee base. So just because things are getting automated doesn't mean there aren't a ton of employees being hired at today. So I just want to make that clear. Thanks. Bye.